up, Cryptologic podcast listeners? Welcome to episode 206. Back from a 2-week break. I got a very special guest on today. He may or may not even need an introduction. You guys see his face. You guys already know who this is. This is Mr. Joshua Jake, one of the true pioneers of crypto on TikTok and content creation in general. I'm very honored to have him on. How you doing, my brother? Thank you for coming on to the podcast.
I'm doing great, man. It's good to be on. Finally meet you. I love the setup, everything I go on. You said episode 206.
Yeah,
My guy is grinding. I love it, dude.
Yeah,
Holy
it's
smokes.
I went from daily to now it's like once a week, and I just had a 2-week break, and then I got some guests lined up coming up here, and you're basically the first of what I call season 2 of the podcast after 200 some episodes. Season 1.
We'll make it the best chapter,
Yeah.
dude. Let's do it.
So I have his TikTok pulled up here. He has a whopping 344,000 followers. You guys need to go follow him. If you guys probably already are following him, but you guys need to check out his content. He goes deep in depth into all things crypto, the macro of the economy, everything you need to know when it comes to crypto and everything like that. I'm so excited to talk to you about what's going on in the crypto space and outside around the world, right? In regards of what's going on in the U.S., China, in the podcast, you can say what you want, right? Because there's no censorship or anything like that in regards of TikTok putting clamps on us. You know what I mean? So that's the exciting thing.
I'm gonna have to replace the word China with like blueberry or something.
Yeah,
I swear.
probably.
Like,
if we clip it up too, if we clip it up and put. But yeah, here's his Twitter, you guys. But yeah, before we get on to all that, I want to talk a little bit about your journey, right? So when it came to picking up the phone for the first time, turning it around, and making content for crypto or whatever it is that you started off on, what made you do that? What made you dive into becoming a content creator? Did you know you wanted to be a content creator, or is that something you just did just off a whim?
I mean, I've always been an outgoing individual. So actually, before I was doing content for crypto, I tried doing esports. I ended up getting into like drone production and doing video production. So I was actually right before I started doing crypto, I was looking to actually become a full-time like video producer for Juju Smith's team from the Steelers. He had an esports team.
Yeah.
So they're kind of looking on contracting me, which would have been really cool. But so I've been in the space for a few years, but what really made me want to do it was just actually getting into sales. So this was in college. I was going door to door doing timeshare sales. I did a lot of different sales jobs, and like I just always wanted to escape just that constant grind. And I just knew establishing my own social media brand, like I can talk a lot and just like sell myself.
Yeah.
I mean, going to door, if you can't sell yourself, you're not going to be successful. So, I kind of just picked that up. And at a point, I remember my cousin like started teaching me about XRP, like back in early 2020. I've only been in for like 2 years at this. Well, that's almost 3 at this point, but right before COVID. And so at the point I was averaging like 30 viewers on Twitch, trying to go pro in games like Fortnite, Splitgate, played on some teams, making bare minimum money. And I just fell in love with like just researching crypto, dude. So actually I posted my first video on TikTok, which was an XRP video. And it was the reason why I did it is because of Blockchain Boy. At the time he was just going hard on XRP. He's not an XRP fan at all, right? And so a lot of people in the space weren't. And actually, I've actually taught a lot of people at this point, just really a lot of like the traditional XRP like influencers. Like I used to live stream with them all the time. I taught them everything from international standardized organization to just how the financial messaging systems actually worked and were integrated. And so I literally just turned on the camera and was like, I want to speak. It took me a few videos. I was doing like the point videos, the cringy ones. Yeah. I go back and I'm like, oh God, and then I started like, I realized I just knew a lot more in the space. In certain areas. And so I focused my content in that niche. And over time, you just fall in love with the space. Now you've
evolved. I can't stop. Yeah. You've grown. You've become like something like a pillar of like, wow, this is like what I want to be, I feel like to a lot of up and coming content creators, like you have a business, you have the podcast coming. You have such tremendous value that you're giving out to people in so many ways, and it's very, very like inspirational, and I saw your page. I'm like, man, this guy is going in. And then you're setting a trend, in my opinion, of long form content, and you've even talked about it a little bit where no one's doing it. Everyone's trying to crack the algorithm, trying to get go viral. You're giving information.
We were speaking before we click live, just the competition in the space, like so I come from a video production background, so I was like, okay, I can edit a well-produced video if I want, so I was trying to like kind of escape that range, but over the last year, I think I realized, after the bull run, dude, we were able to throw a dart at anything and it would hit and do a 10, 15, 20x. We're in a completely different world now. And so about a year ago, I transitioned completely into macros and started reading just a ton of books and just listening to a ton of economists and trying to understand the space more. So now that's what I like. I really like focusing on macros because at the end of the day, everything matters from, just from a macro global standard. Everything from China, US, it's all moving as one trade. And, I've just transitioned that way, but it means a lot to hear, brother. It's been a crazy journey. I mean, I can't even, I would not have been able to tell you a year ago I'd be at where I'm at today. Cause I think I was, it's been about a year and a half for content now.
Yeah. So you started like in 2020, right? Or 2019? No,
not at all. I started crypto content on TikTok, April 2021.
Oh, okay. Man, March. Huge. That is, you solidified yourself. That's amazing. Like that's like, that's, kudos and props.
Thanks,
Yeah. And every year we're gonna see a new class of creators, right? And we talked about it before we got on air. It's just like the influencer market in any realm, right? Crypto is just growing. It's only gonna get bigger, and as it continues to grow, there's gonna be more people coming in. And it's just people are gonna look up to some people like you that have done it, that have been in the game, and because you're basically becoming an OG, right? They're like, oh, how did he do it? They're gonna, you know what I mean? It's really cool to having this podcast with you. People are gonna be able to look back and go, wow, like, and next thing you know, you have like 2 million followers, right? And it's just crazy where it can go,
I don't even know what 1 million would be like, man.
It's just crazy where it could go, and the work that you're doing, I have no doubt in mind that you're gonna get there.
Thanks, man. I'm excited, dude. I'm excited. Yeah. Podcast is my that's my child right there. I'm really
right. Like Joe Rogan. I'm a fan of Joe Rogan and his podcast for years now, right? And it's just insane how everyone's doing it. Like that's like the new form of getting information and hearing and listening, right? No one's literally watching TV anymore. People want to listen to podcasts and getting great guests, great stories, great, you know what I mean? That's the beauty of that right now.
I think the beauty for me comes from the point that like on TikTok, it's 30, 60 second videos, right? The podcast, you really get to see the true side and like you get to go in depth on topics. Yeah. And it's like people,
take your time.
When they listen to you, they're like, holy smokes. Because now I'm doing that with the long-term content and people are like, oh my gosh, this guy knows way more than I realized, I like that incentive, and it's just a lot more personality too with the podcast. But yeah, man, I'm excited to dive into it today. We got a lot of topics. I know I'm sure everybody in the crowd's freaking out because markets are.
I know, right?
Bouncing.
Yeah. and then that's why, like, before we, we go into the macro. This is obviously the Cryptologic podcast. We're talking a little bit of crypto. So I want to ask you, what are your thoughts currently on the space of crypto? That's like I think that's a big question in everyone's mind that I mentioned in Discord, and some people are like, okay, what does he think about the market? Like, what is your sentiment on the market right now?
Well, just like the book, dude, it's falling over. So that's funny too. That's the New World Order by Ray Dalio. It's about collapsing. But just the current we're in a weird transition. I think people that are coming to the space now, they shouldn't be scared. I think that's the biggest concern right now with everybody coming into the crypto space. They're worried about how volatile it is. Is it going to drop another 50%, 70%? Is it a time to buy altcoins, buy crypto? Are we in a recession? And, the reality of just the crypto space right now, just from my experience, just being in here for the years I've been in the space at this point is, now is just the time to learn. It's time to understand. It's the time to, just conceptualize where we're heading as a Web3 space. It's very, very obvious. There's a lot of different things taking place on a macro scale that affect the crypto space. Like, for example, BlackRock coming into the crypto scene. A lot of people are concerned and scared with that. Central bank digital currencies. A lot of people are scared and concerned with that because they were so used to an unregulated DeFi world where, again, the average person was getting an insane ROI. And, that moment when you have the 99% of the population that, might be a waiter or a teacher or, a dude at a car wash making 10, 11, 15x on his investments, you're in a bubble. So I really believe the bubble has officially popped for crypto. Obviously NFTs down significantly. A lot of these DeFi protocols are going to get flooded out, and we're about to, we've been talking about midterms for a long time. We're about to see that regulation, the lobbying, the legislation be implemented. And I think people just need to, just sit back, not be scared, like breathe and just listen, be a sponge, just understand this is the transition. So I'm excited for it, man. I'm excited for it. As an XRP holder, I've been waiting for the transition for way too long. So
same. So that's like critical. What you're saying is be a sponge. And I feel like when the markets, if you like you see on the chart here, everything's blood red. This is the time to soak up that information. To it slows everything down when the markets are like this, because as you remember, last year, look how fast things were moving. 10x here, 50x here, 30x here, 20x here, meme coin here, utility coin here, DeFi here, time, right? Remember, time took over for a while. Everyone was like, time will make me a millionaire, right? And I lost money on time. I went into time. I lost money.
That's the only one I made money on. I lost Olympus Dow, gone. Snow Dog, gone, dude.
Oh, yeah.
I tried a bunch of them, dude. I tried a bunch of them. That
I was
gambling,
making money, and then I lost it because I didn't take it out, right?
Yeah. You see it go up like, dude, I remember time went up like so much. I was like, dude, this is gonna keep going.
Insane amount.
And then,
$4 grand, $9 grand. Like it was insane. I was like, oh, every day I'm making this amount. Every 6 hours, rebates. You know, and Phantom, right? All those DAOs on Phantom. Phantom was going nuts, and everyone was like, Phantom's the next one. Phantom's the next one. And then we saw what happened there. Like it just everything crashed. Nodes were a big thing. This right now, it's just you feel like it's just negative news after negative news after negative news, and then now we're at the point where I feel like if you want to be a true crypto investor, and this is where we're going to get into this part, is you have to understand the economy outside of crypto. You can't just be focused on crypto. You have to look at what's going on, like you said, when it comes to the rules and regulations with the government, right? Not just in the US, but worldwide, especially with the war and supply chain, all that stuff. So now, like, your content has taken an evolution to where you're not talking about, China's economy collapsing and how that's going to affect crypto and affect everything, right? It's a ripple, no pun intended, ripple effect, right? So let's dive into that. And how did you come about that? You just realized that you had that realization as well? Like, oh, I can't just be knee deep into crypto. I need to think about.
Yeah. I had a wake up call last January, which was Russia invading Ukraine.
Yeah.
There was a point where I got like really into like the fear mongering media. I was so against it because there was a point. That's when I like over the last year and a half, I've been studying marginal cost of production for Bitcoin. I was going into just the basic ethos of, from HVAC to employees to downtime, uptime, renewables, energy, how that energy got from, that natural gas deposit to the end like user at that Bitcoin mining facility. What was the energy cost in between that production? Mm-hmm. And so that's when I really started diving deep into just the economics behind resources. And this is going to sound so boring, but economics is just based off, goods and services, but it's much more than that. There's like, cause and effects to everything that takes place. And so I was wrong about actually Russia invading Ukraine because I was like, dude, this is going to cause this in Europe. This is going to cause massive inflation. This is going to cause energy costs. It's going to cause agriculture issues and famine that can take place through the world. It was more like it just would be detrimental to Russia's economy. And so, sure enough, that was wrong. And I wasn't necessarily trying to predict that necessarily. So now what I've over the last year been focusing on is just the fact that people need to understand cause and effect. You have to understand at that point when Russia invaded Ukraine, like I understood that oil and all these things were going to collapse. I was like, this is, just burst up into flames, like just rally. We saw oil go up to like $130. People were predicting like $200. These were things that were very easy to foresee. So now just in the crypto space, obviously from a macro standpoint with China, the US, Europe, now issues with Taiwan, potentially even Japan, the whole world, there's so many things going on. What I like to focus on is just show people what the cause is and what that effect would be. So example, China's real estate market. If that were to collapse, every influencer is talking about that. But what they're not talking about is what caused that and how that would affect the markets afterwards. So now I'm just trying to really hound my content to just allow people to understand that there is multiple outcomes that we cannot foresee. But so that way they're best, set up for success. So if that were to occur, they know how to address the opportunity presented in front of them. So that's why I've really transitioned into that macro aspect. Obviously everything's trading as one, and, whatever Jerome Powell says will move the markets by, disgusting amounts. But
It's so funny.
Dude,
Just watching him speak from last year is like this is him and Janet Yellen, right? Talking about how this is transitory. This is and then admitting they were wrong later on, right? Like, you know,
they
it's
still
just,
won't. They redefined the definition of a recession,
yeah,
dude.
That was the big critical thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Redefining the whole thing. It's like, oh, you know, these are bad, but you know, we're not in a recession because these are doing well. And it's like, you're not even, it's like the whole situation of like, well, what are the reasons why these are doing well? Because it's delayed. And we talk about unemployment, housing and everything. It's just, their main thing was fixing gas prices and stuff like that because it looks good going into midterms. That was like my like logical, low key, just simple explanation. They want to look good going into midterms. That's what they're trying to do. They want to look good, and I think the economy is going to get hit even harder after the midterms going into 2023, like Q1, in my opinion. I just think because they haven't even started quantitative tightening, and it's interesting because I've like been learning about this for the past few months now, just learning about all what this means, right? And the fact that they haven't, and you've talked about it too on one of your TikToks, they haven't been sucking out the money that they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be taking out like about 90 billion here in September. Prior to that, they were supposed to take out like 40 billion or so. They haven't done anything. They haven't taken nearly enough close to what they said they were. So it's all fluff, in my opinion, in regards of how much money is in the economy. And once this starts happening, do we see the markets react to that, and we start seeing the tail off of the stock market, the crypto market, right? Because
so I have
I am on that.
No, you're not far off at all. I mean, you're completely correct. The Federal Reserve has been lying to everybody. Janet Yellen, literally my most hated person. I like we'll keep emotions out. But dude, I'm just like, you know, it's when the problem is, you said it with the midterms, right? The federal bank or the central bank is obviously a private entity, but they're very controlled and manipulated by Congress. It's just as blatant as, you know, is air. It just exists. The amount of lobbying and stuff that goes into this, insider trading, it all exists.
Money. Yep.
So, you know, going into just where we're heading, the quantitative tightening is a very interesting just conversation because people are worried about like just how they're going to affect interest rates. If they continue to raise interest rates, how is that going to affect inflation? Is it going to be deflationary? And ultimately, just what's the end goal? So what I mean, like, obviously, if you've seen my content, like over the next few months, I'm incredibly bearish up until midterms. I think it's going to be just so volatile between political agendas and people battling back and forth. And historically, every single year for midterms, it is a terrible year for the stock markets. It is just volatile because you have people arguing. But with quantitative tightening, you mentioned the 45 billion in assets that they weren't taken out. They were supposed to be reducing mortgage-backed securities, and they're actually adding that to their balance sheet rather than reducing it. And so they haven't even focused on actually really reducing the amount of money from the M2 money supply. If you actually look at it, what has happened is the money supply in our economy has just gone even. It's not going up anymore. It is sideways. But the problem with this is the effect that's going to have on our economy. So if you look at your treasury bonds, the bond markets love to factor in what the Fed's decisions are really going to be. So right now we have something called an inverted yield curve taking place where the 2-year is getting better returns than the 10-year. And that shows that investors really believe that they're going to be getting a better return on their investment within that 2-year time period.
Short term.
Feds, short term. They're going to be, Feds are going to reduce, those interest rates. They're going to get a, positive money back, because I think the problem here, I don't know why people are dovish at all, but starting this month coming up, they're supposed to double that, reduction to upwards of like 95, 97 billion per month, and really start reducing that balance sheet. So I still think the Feds are going to remain hawkish. I think that's going to obviously impact crypto in a negative way. But the fact that the monetary supply isn't being reduced at such a heavy manner, and that deflation, I do believe, will kick in. This is where I'm trying to not scare people. I don't want people to be scared of a recession, because people, when they hear recession, they think of 08, financial crisis, millions and millions and millions and millions unemployed,
despair,
and just poverty and
job loss,
all these things. And it's, we may not approach that. We are definitely in a recession currently. But this is something that, because of all the money we printed from COVID-19 with all the stimulus checks, we're at an all-time high for credit consumer debt. We're at an all-time household debt, all-time high corporation debt, all-time high federal debt, labor productivity is, falling back. And the reality is this is something that's going to take 6 months to maybe even 2 years to really, come out of. We can't just continue. We can't inflate more money. We'll hyperinflate our economy.
Yeah.
You know, they can't be too aggressive with interest rates, because if they raise interest rates too high, what happens to your debt? Your debt value gets harder to pay off. And since wages aren't keeping up with inflation, your money becomes worthless. It becomes, you know, the value comes less and less. So, very interesting conversation, man. You got to ask specific questions. It is. But it's so I'm happy to dive in. Yeah.
It's like what I think, like what I've been learning is like in regards of what the U.S. is doing for our economy, right? I believe that the target inflation rate was like 2%. And what I've been learning is that reality is that it's not really, it's going to be 5%. That's where we're going to be at, that's where they're actually probably going to end up. And I still think, and then what I've learned is that 4 to 5% is still very bad for the economy, and that we're not going to reach that 2% mark. And my thinking is, well, once they get to that point where they're like, well, we can't keep, like you said, they can't keep raising interest rates. They're going to have to taper off on that and start focusing on other aspects of the economy. And my thing is, like, is that going to cause another problem in regards of, you know, cash flow and, you know, raising the balance sheets, et cetera, and rippling into like the housing market or supply chain or anything else, like when they start tackling other aspects? Basically what I say is, like, they're going to let their foot off the gas tackling this issue? Is it going to get worse because since they're not putting their hands on it anymore? You know what I mean? Yeah.
I mean, I definitely think they can't let the foot off the gas just yet.
Yeah.
Reason being is China's real estate markets. If that were to collapse right now,
is that Evergrande? Is that what we're...
Evergrande, yeah. So Evergrande. I love this topic because Evergrande, you know, everybody freaked out over the $300 billion, you know, debt default. And, you know, over the last few months, I've put together like countless videos. I've read every research article you can find from peer-reviewed like assessments on it. But Evergrande was like not the thousandth, but like one of the, like, there's been hundreds of companies that have defaulted since then. They are one of the largest, and, you know, definitely that was a huge domino factor to where we're at today. But even a year ago, when everybody was freaking out about it, I was like, there's got to be more to this. So that's when I really started looking into it. But China's economy has been messed up since 2008. They introduced something called local government financial vehicles, LGFVs. And what these were, are you familiar with the '08 crash with like synthetic CDOs, or have you ever seen The Big Short with Michael Burry?
Yeah, I saw Big Short. Yeah.
Okay, very similar. In the U.S., you had a lot of greedy Wall Street, you know, individuals and banks that were just taking the worst credit rating loans, putting them into bundles, and obviously selling those off to investors. And that created a lot of default on risk. So we ended up defaulting on everything, collapsed the market. China's doing something very similar. They've been lying about the credit ratings. They're supposed to have AAA rated, you know, international ratings that would mean, you know, it's a very, very strong backed government bond. It's very safe, very low risk. And the reality is they were stretching the value of those ratings. The ratings were actually much less, and the default on the risk to the, you know, defaulting on that loan was much higher than they were telling everybody. So it turned into this giant Ponzi scheme where, you know, these LFGVs, these local governments, they were selling these bonds to the markets, and they were taking that money, you know, and obviously raising your real estate and your, you know, massive firms. And they built, I think there's like 225 million square feet that is just sitting there vacant, or it's not finished or not complete. And now they're selling all that property to individuals who are paying mortgages on a property that's never going to get finished. So this is where you get the protests and everything coming into play right now, where they're like, I'm not paying this mortgage. It's never going to get finished. What am I doing this for? So today, actually, China came out, and because nobody's buying those bonds and, you know, focusing on that market, they dropped the rates a little bit. They want to, you know, attract more consumers to, you know, add more credit, become more indebted and spend on the economy. And so now, like with the Federal Reserve, you know, to pump on the brakes, if they were to do that, and let's say this real estate bubble in China does burst and they are forced to inflate their economy, forced to print money, China has a positive impact on the U.S.
Don't they own a lot of land in the U.S.? Don't they own a lot of
land? There's like 300 Chinese stocks on the U.S. stock exchange that are more likely to get removed. They own, the amount of real estate they own. It caused quite a few issues, but they're also our largest manufacturer. Yeah. So, you know, the inflation that would go into the economy would roll over into the U.S. and that could impact us in inflation rates. So they are at like the Fed. I would hate to be Jerome Powell right now. I mean, you know, people that bag on him, I'm like, dude, you got to be in his shoes. Like he has like no options. It's like he's got the worst option or the worst option. And he's got to choose one of those roads. And I believe both are going to always lead to printing more money.
Yeah.
But currently, I really think they have to stay aggressive and just focus on raising interest rates slowly. Like you said, probably to that 4%, 4.5% next year. It's going to be interesting how they play it out. It really is.
Man. Because that's what I've been thinking. Based off of what I've been learning, it's like a checkmate thing. It's like it's gonna get to a point where checkmate's gonna be called, and which way are we gonna look, right? Which side of the coin are we gonna be on?
I would like to be on the hyperinflation side where crypto pumps to the moon, but you can't. That's gambling. I'm not risking that one. So you just got to be prepared. And there's going to be opportunities. So like, I mean, we're only a year and a half away, I think, from like another bull run. You have BlackRock now coming into the space. CBDCs are coming. Those on ramps will be there, and a lot of DeFi protocols will probably go to zero, get wrecked, be a security. But I think there'll be plenty of opportunity.
I think so too. And it's what's crazy is during a time like this, there's actually opportunity. Right now, it's random tokens pumping. Right, we see Energy Web token going nuts. We see random significant projects just going off for some reason. Right, based off of FOMO or any big announcement, etc. And that's what I was thinking about. I was like, if we stop raising interest rates and let inflation go and go into hyperinflation, everything looks good on paper. Oh, not paper, but from a viewpoint, stocks are up, everything's going up, but it's just damaging the economy. Just like during 2020. Interest rates was like 1%, 2% or something like that, or point. It was such a significant. It was negative.
I think there was no. I think they had no interest rates for a while.
It was such a low amount, and then now we're like paying the price for it. And like you said, Jerome Powell's going through the wire right now. It's probably if he's bald by the.
And I think it's good long term. It's got to get fleshed out. We had $5 trillion. They doubled the monetary supply. While everybody thought we were going to go to the moon, the knowledge I have now, man, I wish I saw that coming a year, 2 years ago. Dude, I would have been, it just makes so much sense. I just read this great book, and it's just like, dude, it's the amount of information I have now. It's just like, dude, it's so easy to see a bubble at this point. And so when you see this market and people being dovish, still having euphoria, believing this is the bottom, it's zoom out for a split second and realize what's causing inflation. And the majority of it is Russia invading Ukraine. Energy costs have gone through the roof, and it's summer. We're not using heat. We're not using, a lot of energy. We're moving into winter. So energy prices are going to go, get higher. I've covered, things with inflation inventories and wholesale inventories with, like, I don't even know what to talk about, but there's so much,
deep,
man.
That's deep. Yeah. But that's how you become successful in this space. Like you have to kind of dabble into it a little bit, right? Unless you just want to watch someone and learn and just do what they do, right? Which is not what
That's what everybody wants to do. It's not what you should do.
Exactly. And like you said, not everyone is made for this in regards of being an investor or content creator. Everyone's just kind of like that's what I'm saying. Like a lot of people just try to follow the trend, and people just really want views. People really want a following, but it's like, what are you doing with that following? What are you providing? And having someone like yourself basically showing the blueprint of, hey, look at the work that he's putting in. You know what I mean? Like, this is not something that you just wake up and I know all this stuff. Like, the work is done. You know what I mean? Behind the scenes.
It's like, I just want to set people up with like my predictions. Well, you could end up wrong, but at least I'm presenting, like, it's all real evidence and facts based on what I, what I'm presenting. So, it's all peer reviewed, all like actual historical data. So I like to, any prediction or thesis that I create is, always fundamentally backed by reasoning. And I always make sure of that with my content. If I watch a video back and I go, what was the value of that video? And I go, really nothing, like there was no value in it, I won't post it. I will redo it and make sure I add value to it. And just make sure someone leaves that video with going, I didn't know that, answering, just some bit of education.
Yeah. And that's what we need in a time like this. And this is what, like, during a time like this, it's a lot of people have left, right? Since the beginning of the year when everything was going great, and right around the time.
Oh, they're going to leave more, dude. Yeah. I don't even think this is the worst of it.
That's what I want to talk to you about next. Oh, it's like I've been saying on my channel, right? a lot of people say that the bottom is in, right? Oh, we're not going to go back on. I'm like, I think we're going to see like a 15K Bitcoin, 15 to 17K Bitcoin again. That's like my opinion on it. I think we're going to see another massive sell-off, maybe touch 850 billion in the overall market cap, maybe 800 billion. So we're going to lose another 100 billion in my opinion. So do you think that we're going to see another massive sell-off? You don't have to go too in depth with pricing or anything, but
no, I give it, man. It's I think the strongest thing any content creator do is put the reputation on the line, because it shows that, you just have that initiative. And, I don't want to like ever drop a ton of like information and not give my own opinion, because I feel like it completely, like, even if it's a wrong opinion, even if I'm wrong on a prediction, it's like, I've spent thousands of hours. I've calculated like over 10,000 hours at this point in the crypto space and just researching and learning. And it's, I feel like I owe that to my viewers, but I have to make sure they understand that, that's just a perspective.
Yeah.
No matter what. And it's the creators that really get out there, put their reputation online and go, hey, I could be wrong, that I respect on a whole nother scale. Because it just, they're brutally honest. They constantly are looking to listen to other opinions and guide themselves. It's like, have you ever watched like the All In podcast with like the billionaires, like Chamath?
Oh yeah. I've seen a couple. Yeah, I've seen clips.
Yeah. They're like four completely different minds, and they disregard they'll disagree all the time on different topics.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I love, because they're completely successful individuals, and some will make false predictions, wrong predictions. Some will make right predictions, but it's the value that they all bring together. And the fact that everybody listening gets to understand those debates and the reasonings and everything behind it that will make them more successful in the future. So, that was a little sidebar, sorry, but I really appreciate that. Yeah, I just love that aspect. But so, for me, like, I'm not going to give like exact numbers, but I will give ranges. Ultimately, like, first and foremost, I do think we're going to retest bottoms. I think coming up until midterms, I'm not at all bullish. If the feds came out and did some out of pocket stuff and were like, hey, we are going to, they'll pause on the brakes for whatever reason. They flip short-term dovish
in September, right? When they're supposed to raise it again?
Yeah, I will short that market. I will get ready, enter that market, and short the living daylights out of it. Because, again, if you're looking at just macro data, if you want to pull up on your computer, just commodities, trading economics, that's going to be the website. I don't know if you can pull up sites, but it can kind of give the audience what I'm speaking of.
What is it, commodities and what?
Type in commodities, trading economics. One of my favorite sites. I love checking this every single day. It's that first one, live quote pricing trading. Nope, down one, not the ad. The second quote right there.
Right there?
Yep.
You can see it, right? I think everyone can see it.
All right, I love this. So, wow. If you look at your data point, this is so, like, for example, in June, I think it was like June 9th, I bought like Ethereum at $10,000 or $1,050. The reason being was because watching the economy, I like to focus on the social behavior. So, for example, when you're getting a massive sell-off, you need to understand why that sell-off is occurring and what they're expecting and anticipating. So on June 10th, up and leading to that point, we had a massive sell-off. People thought, remember, 12K Bitcoin, NASDAQ was going to collapse, inflation was going to come out terrible, and it did. We saw prices come down to 17.5. At that point, if you're looking at the prices right here, month over month, what you want to see is a negative impact on the prices from energy and global commodities. So agriculture, it's going to be like, lumber, wood, soybeans, all that type of stuff. You want to see a negative factor. If it's negative, that means obviously that inflation is coming out and those prices are going to drop. Okay. Yeah. So this is something I look at on a day-to-day basis. Back in June, they were all negative. Everything was massively in the red. Everything was down 20, 30%. And so I instantly knew. It was like, dude, even though the CPI report for the month of July was going to come out at a 9.1 rating, we were expecting that. The overall market makers and the institutions knew that inflation was overpriced. People were overpricing a recession because we were going to have this bounce as commodities and inflation was going to come back down for the month of July, which we saw like an 8.5. So what I'm watching right now and over the next few months, like I expect Bitcoin and prices to come back down. If you're already seeing the greens, we're not at all down to negative, 10% that we were for the month of July. August is starting to constrain itself. You're starting to see prices, maybe we come back at an 8.5, maybe a little bit lower for the month of August. But ultimately in September, I really believe as we move into the winter seasons, you're going to see energy costs go up. You're going to see and issues from supply shocks we have from the wars in Ukraine that are going to affect agriculture. A lot of these things I think are going to come back, and we're going to see that inflation come back into the space. And this is a great website for your audience just to watch on the daily space. If you see it up 10% in a week, understand that's going to be a negative impact on your CPI report. So, what I'm looking for over the next few months is just Bitcoin to come back down, retest those lows, at least 17.5. Maybe we break through it and it's capitulation from short-term holders that bought in. And, what I'm worried about is credit consumer debt. We're at an all-time high for people, using their credit cards. The spending is there. You like to see the Federal Reserve and people talk about how the demand's still in our economy for travel, hospitality, stuff like that. The problem is that's all debt. People are using a ton of credits to purchase that debt. So debt's at an all-time high for a household. Debt's at an all-time high per business, per government, for just everything. And you're not seeing any money go into these people's savings accounts. So we're running into a point where this is why I'm bearish on the Ethereum merge at launch. There is no demand in the space for people to cause a bull run. You can't, it is super, it's going to be super detrimental to the supply. But the reality is nobody has money. And if they do have money, it's going to get eaten alive from, just the Fed's decisions if they remain hawkish. So I'm looking at 17,000 Bitcoin, 18,000 Bitcoin again. I think we are coming down. We can go lower, and I'm just ready for it. What I'm really looking to do is, it's another site.
We have the same pricing point. That's what I was thinking. Anywhere from 15 to 17, that like the worst case scenario, 15, 16, and then obviously in the mid and high.
I would like it to
17.
drop more. I longed in June, and now I'm looking to open up some low leverage shorts. And if they hit, I'll let them keep riding. I'll add some leverage to it, and I'll make money off the downside. People got to understand there's money in both ways of this market. You just have to learn. And so that website right there, though, beautiful, man. If you see that, look at that natural gas. So what you want to really pay attention to is the UK gas and the TTF gas. Also natural gas. That's pretty high up there as well in a global perspective. But those, look at that, 500% year over year, 13% on the daily, 25% on the weekly. So these prices are starting to increase already. What happens when we hit winter season? I mean, we're talking, cold, snow, blackouts in the UK, major supply gut on energy, massive demand.
And they had a heat wave this summer.
Oh, and they had the heat wave. That's affecting China as well right now. It's a whole nother topic. So these are major issues that we're approaching. And that's just from an inflationary side of things. The other side of this is your retailers. So all that demand from these consumers, we got $5 trillion. Everybody was spending money, buying new cars, buying brand new phones, going to, not going to Europe because of COVID, but, trying to get out,
people were
spend
buying
their money.
Meme coins. People were buying a bunch. That's where all the money.
NFTs.
Yep. People were blowing their money.
They're just blowing it. And the problem and
unemployment money too. But a lot of people were doing unemployment money, the PPP loans. Like people were money was coming in.
PPP is one of the worst. That's one of the biggest issues. And so, what happened though was they were buying from all these retailers, and this is called the bullwhip effect. I learned this from from Michael Burry a few months back. But these, the retailers, they overproduce and buy too much from the manufacturers, and the manufacturers buy too much from their suppliers. By the time the suppliers get all of that supplies to the manufacturers and the retailers, the demand will be gone. And we saw that confirmed. This is something I've been talking about for quite a few months. Was the fact that your profits were going to start dropping drastically from retailers. And that's going to have a negative impact on your corporation profit margins in Q4. That will be bad for stocks and crypto. And so those are some big things that I'm just watching for through midterms. Again, we're looking at that. You're looking at teens Bitcoin. I have to say it. I am not confident at all in Bitcoin.
Yeah. And some people are drilling you for drilling me for saying that, right? And it goes into not being in an echo chamber. You don't want to be stuck in a place where everyone's just saying the most positive thing every single time, and the one person that's in the room is like, you know what? I think this is gonna happen, and then they what the hell's wrong with you? You're an idiot or whatever. Like me, I tweeted out saying Quant, hey man, I don't like Quant being at 120. This is Quant's not going back to all time high anytime soon. You guys be careful. It was just $50 a few weeks ago. Yeah. And then now people are like, oh, Quant's the next Bitcoin. I'm like, I love Quant, but I'm like, I'm not gonna dump my bag into this at 100 plus if your dog cost averaging, that's fine. But people have been FOMOing into it, thinking that it's gonna have that another run up to 400. I'm like, dude, look at the market. There's no way that's gonna happen right now. Like, like it's just crazy. People are like, say, oh, you, how can you say you like?
You just got to ask them, where's the demand gonna come from? Yeah. Where's the money coming from? And again, if the feds come out and go, hey, we're gonna print another $2 trillion, I will shut up and I will change my mind. But that's data no one can predict. So as of right now, no one has money. They're on an all-time, debt limit. They're spending way too much credit.
Everything's up. Prices.
You can't be buying monkey pictures on credit. I'm sorry, and I like NFTs. I do,
Me too,
but it's the reality of things.
They just think they think that we're evil, and we're like, dude. I'm like, why would you advocate for this? Like, you would want to buy it at a discount, right? You would want. That's how I look at it. It's just crazy how, but that's how bad the space can get. It's obvious people surrounding themselves and forming a bubble around it and not having realistic, conversations. And that's one of the big gripes I have with XRP as well. And I'm an avid XRP investor, and I talk about my TikTok is primarily XRP, and on my YouTube is where I cover everything else. The XRP army is they get to the point where they do get a little bit. You say one negative thing, they attack you, and that's why I feel bad for Blockchain Boy, and I comment on him. We follow each other, and we've talked about it before, and I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm not, I told myself I'm not one of those people that are like, oh, 10,000 XRP, and just to do that to get followers, like I'm providing like realistic as much as I can, content on it, and that's the one thing. That's the big example. Cardano's another one where people they get into this little bubble, and you say one negative thing, they bash you and they think you're like, the worst person.
You're like the worst person. Yeah. Cause like I'm bullish on Ripple and XRP, but I'm like, dude, I'm going to take my $2 and leave. And like, people are like, oh, you're not a true holder. And I'm like, because I'm really into economics. Like, I just love studying. I'm like, okay, where's your demand going to come from? Like, we understand that go to 2020. Oh, that's the other thing. Like, I sold all my XRP at like $1.20. And so, dude, the XRP army, like, they flamed.
Traitor.
Yeah, traitor. I'm like, dude, this lawsuit can go to 2024. It could easily be till next bull run. Now, of course, today, like, it's. I think the deposition or whatever or summary is March 31st, 2023 now.
Yeah,
just keep going. And I'm not bearish against it. I'm just like, hey, by the way, there's other cryptos.
Exactly.
You can short Ethereum. You can short Bitcoin. You can long Bitcoin. You can long. There's money to be made in this market in so many different ways. And it's when the time's right, dude. I'll stack again. XRP is where I'm at today. It's because I literally put all my stimulus money into it at like 7 cents. So.
Yeah. Legendary.
Yeah.
And that's what like one thing that people want the case to be over. And I'm like, I feel like right now is the worst time for it to be over.
Why would you want it over?
Just like the Ethereum merger.
No one's going to buy.
It's the worst time. You want to save that, explode that. It's like your big firecracker. You want to save that last one, the cherry on top, right when the bull market's from and lawsuits over. Settlement.
Imagine if the bull run is on, because I'm like, and they just don't understand. And it's and I don't blame people for it, but it's a lot of the you're just. It's like, please wait. Like, I will happily accumulate next year because it's already a massive market cap. Like, let's just get to $2, and that's $2 too. Like, from now, what is that? A 10x? Like, not a 10x. It's almost nearly. You're like, you're beating the S&P by literally 80 years.
33 cents to
$2. It's ridiculous. That's more than 80 years. What is that? That's like 160 years in the S&P you just beat. Like, yeah. Come on. Like, let's be realistic. Go buy a property and let's call it a day.
And that's what I try and tell people. I'm like, you don't. Because I think because of this meme coin era, people have this fascination, right? Of, oh, I'm gonna put my $500 $1,000 on it, and I'm a millionaire. I'm like, that's just not possible. Like, maybe during that bull run last year, around the time when Dogecoin was pumped up and cheap, if you bought in before Elon Musk ever tweeted about it, yes, millionaires were made. Telcoin had a terrific run. There's a bunch of tokens that did that, but be realistic. If you could turn your 10,000, 5,000, 1,000 into, 5, 6, 7, 10, 15, 20, 30, whatever, that's still a win. Like, you don't need to retire off of one token. Like, it doesn't work that way. That's why
you got to diversify. Name one millionaire that's like, I bought one thing. Like, they're invested. Every billionaire's lost money in hundreds of investments. And they've also made money in hundreds of investments. You got to diversify. I think that's a part of TikTok. It's Richest Man in Babylon. What's one of my favorite books.
I have the book right here.
You do? Dude, it's right behind me too. That is literally, if every person, I got, Mine's little. Mine's the little version.
You got the this is like the one I got on Amazon. That one's like the original one, isn't it? Or is
Yeah,
based off of it?
Yeah. And it's, and I think one of my favorite quotes in it is like, would you trust a brick maker with your jewels?
Exactly.
It's the same thing as the crypto space. Cause you got the 99%, the average person that comes in, they see some 17-year-old kid that, lives with his mom and buys a Rolex and has flashy bling and buys a Tesla. And he made, $100,000-$200,000, pumping and dumping an NFT or meme coin on his followers.
Yeah.
And so they don't realize that, I could call it so many millionaires that literally just got paid by shit coins. And so
they're gurus, and now
they're
they sell a
gurus.
course,
They're
and now
gurus.
they sell and I'm like, it's just like drop shipping.
There's certain people I really hope are on a panel one day, and I'll just roast them, dude. I'll just ask them. I'll ask them the most basic like economy questions, and they're just gonna be like, "What?" And so but that's a sidebar. It's like so. But there's just money to be made here, and I want people to really realize that and just understand that if the markets are going to crash, understand how you profit off that. Right? Michael Burry's made all his money off stock market crashes.
Yep.
Look at Peter Schiff. Peter Schiff is the boy who cried wolf with gold, but he's now sold dozens of books and made millions of dollars off just being an author. Like, the crypto's not at all the only space you have to make money, and it gives you opportunities to make money in other spaces. So it's just a great place to be. Man,
that's literally like what I've been trying to preach on my YouTube is like don't have that desire, right? Of like we said earlier, right now, like buying one coin and then that potentially freeing you from life. Like, oh, I'm multimillionaire, a millionaire, I made 6 figures. The experience of being a crypto investor, crypto trader, and learning and networking and learning new skills, and eventually, if you're taking it serious, evolving, right? Like what I'm trying to do and what you've done, learning more about the economy and becoming a well-rounded, investor. And now you know about commodities, stocks, bonds, what's going on with the Fed, everything like that. Those are the real people that are going to stay around and succeed in this space. The people that came in last year trying to find out what's the next 100x, they're gone. They're wrecked.
Oh, dude,
they
come and go. They come and go.
Nodes, time, all those. If you go back to man, like
I did them too. I understood. I was diversified. I had 40 cryptos. It's like I didn't. While those crashed, Matic pumped to the moon. Or like whatever it was. You got to play the space.
NFTs too.
The NFTs, like I had on, man. I got
me
hat
too.
on NFTs. Like I'm now below even. I was up significantly, like 8 ETH at one point at like $3,000 ETH. So I was like, okay, just trading, and then I just held, and yeah, NFTs have taken the most brutal. This is brutal fall.
So in my journey, I've gotten hacked twice from my Trust wallet, twice. Oof. Learned from that, and then when I was early 2021, I wasn't really making content on crypto yet. I had bought some NFTs, right? I bought the Fame Ladies. My fell for one of those people in the Discord that I was in their Discord. They messaged me like, "Hey man, I'll buy it from you, 1 ETH or whatever." And I was like, "Oh." They gave me a fake site that was similar to this swapping thing, and I did it like a dummy. And this was way before I, knew anything. And then I was like, "Wait a minute, where did my NFT go?" Like, I was freaking out, and then the guy stole it from me. And I'm like, this had to happen because it made me better. It made me like understand, like, yo, this is crazy. And people have gotten hacked. People, and it's just crazy how that happened.
Dude, hacks. My biggest enemy. It's happened to me a couple times. Is setting just money to the wrong address from an ETH to BSC.
Yep.
Because it might just be an exchange. So I've lost a few grand just doing that.
There's so much to it.
Wherever that goes. That's just gone. I'm like,
Matthew McConaughey is dust is fixing dust. Fugazi,
Jeez, man.
Whatever. Yeah, that's why, and that's why that's the name of the game in the space. Like if you trade on Avalanche, you get C chain. You got to know which chain you're sending it to, Binance, BSC, or what I mean? Like, it's just crazy how deep. It's not too deep, but once you get into it, there's so much you can learn from this space, and this is the time where everything slows down, and you listen to podcasts like this, you can learn a lot. And
they're in the best. You're in the best. You're in the best spot if you're coming in now. I had some people in the stream today. Hey, I'm brand new. What I do, is it always this volatile? I'm like, bro, You are lucky. like enjoy. Everybody acts like, because I've been in here for I've only been in the space for 2 years. I've just made it my like goal and passion to be just knowledgeable. So I just read everything I can. And so like I debate people like from 2014, 2016, but you get people like that come in and they just expect that you only made money the whole time. Like, oh, you bought at a good time. You bought in 2020. You're always been up.
Oh man.
Like, dude, 2020, I bought right before the pandemic. I thought I was a college student. I thought I just lost all my money. Like, it took a year and a half before XRP saw 40 cents again. And I was buying from 22 to, whatever it was. So I think it hit like 8 or 7 cents at the bottom.
Yeah.
But so it's always volatile. It's always going to exist. And like, you just don't be scared. Just start read for the love of God. If you don't know what to put your money in, buy a book, a $30 book. I swear. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Richest Man in Babylon. Any of these books behind me.
I have those books right here too.
Dude,
all right here.
It will, anybody watching, like especially Richest Man in Babylon. I think everybody that watches content creators need to read that, because it'll give them the perspective. Okay, when I'm listening to this individual, what is that one? Think and Grow Rich. Yeah, I love it. I love it. There's
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
I just started buying hard copies. I usually listen to Audible. Tony Robbins, I've listened to or Unshakable was like my first book by Tony Robbins. Great.
That's what I have. That's my first book too.
Dude, that was great. Yeah, you know what's up, dude. You know what's up. So, and it's constantly reading. I think now I've read probably 3 dozen books. I got way more. There's hundreds I need to read, but I think that's like where people need to start, man. They just don't want to. They don't want to put in the effort. They don't want to put in the work, and they're gonna be caught in the dust again.
And next thing you know, we're gonna see a YouTube ad. This is my Ferrari. These are my books. Tyler passed out. Yeah. I'm just kidding.
This back in my garage.
Oh, don't mind my Ferrari. Don't mind my Ferrari. Look
knowledge.
At these books.
No, I actually read them. I don't skim read them. So you can question me on the books, but
no, I'm just I'm just what I was gonna say also is, like you said, yes, read a book, do audiobooks, right? Like you said, consume the knowledge. And I was gonna say, it's so bad right now. Even Elon Musk sold at a loss, right? It's like a joke, Even he sold at a loss.
I mean, if you really feel you're down, just look at MicroStrategy. You're down like $1 billion.
Exactly.
No problem. No problem.
Step down as CEO to focus on, Bitcoin investments or whatever.
Focus on losing more money. I'm just kidding. No, it's a good space, dude. And people just need to address it. And I think they need to stop focusing on coming in to get rich quick. And they need to come in and, crypto is like, I think every 20-year-old teen's, intro to just becoming financially literate. I swear, just reading, focusing on your own business, focus on, having a cash flow on the side. Like, I've always done that. I've always been an entrepreneur, whether it was drone footage, streaming, or, I did car washing for a while. I was doing detailing. Like, I was always trying to find a side income that can produce me more income than my traditional job. And that's how you're going to make it. You can't be stuck 9 to 5, come home, scroll through TikTok for 3 hours, watch 2 hours of Netflix, and watch one dude on TikTok and just try to buy whatever he says. You're not going to make it that way, because we make mistakes, dude. We will continue to make mistakes. It's the people that, learn from their failures are the ones that succeed, not the people that, just fail and don't do shit. They just give up, So,
yep. Got to keep developing yourself. Learn, man, this was a great conversation. I know that, you got some things you got to take care of today. I'm very, very appreciative for you to come on. Hopefully we can do this again someday, sometime soon or whatever, and anything you want to leave with the audience or the listeners before we, get out of here?
Just seriously, now's the time to keep listening, guys. You guys are following Cryptologic. He's doing a great dive into XRP and stuff. Like, guys, understand that this space is volatile. It's going to be messy. You have regulations coming, but with those regulations comes brand new opportunities that haven't existed ever in this world. So if you are in this space, you're doing the research, you understand the narrative that we are transitioning into a Web3 world, you're going to do so fucking well. Excuse my language on YouTube. Sorry about that. You got to bleep that out. You're going to do so well. You just keep learning and keep educating yourself. Past that, if you guys want to check out, Kryptonite, guys, we do have our podcast launching here in about 2 weeks. I am stoked for that. We'll be going on tour and stuff around the country, and hopefully into like London and some places. But that's going to be a great macro. It's a little bit of everything. We got altcoins, macroeconomics. I really like diving into, but just an overall basis on every point. So make sure you check that out. But
yeah, I'm definitely gonna link that as well. I've been watching this. Yeah. I'm gonna make sure everyone go to his YouTube. You guys probably already follow him on Twitter. You guys are following me, guys. I'm pretty sure you guys are already following him.
My YouTube, I haven't been on in 6 months, so that one, no one.
Go check out his YouTube. I've been seeing your snippets. You blockchain have been posting. I'm like, dude, I cannot wait to take a dive.
Dude, we're dying to get it out, man. Our
awesome.
sponsors and everything went through, but they're launch partners, so they were like, you can't stream without us. And we're like, okay.
Oh, okay.
So, it's going to look
when
good.
it does come out, it's going to be worth the wait.
Oh, yeah.
I'm very excited to see who you guys bring on, what you guys do with that moving forward. It's awesome. You guys take over the whole that type of that podcast space because that's huge. It's going to be huge we need that. We need real serious deep dive conversation. You guys are both like the original pioneers of it, and there's no other greater people to start that with. So it's going to be cool to see. You guys growing that.
We'll have the show. We'll have you on.
That'd be awesome. Blockchain boy, get into it. I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
no, we're cool
dude,
though.
Brawl, man. We can go full boxing matches, dude. We got me versus Blockchain Boy 2025, man.
Yeah, he's cool,
throwing
man.
Down.
I sent him a chain once. I was doing like these crypto things, and I sent him one like last year. I don't know if you saw it. It's like a V chain thing and Infinity Pad or something like that. So
that's sick. Yeah, dude. He's yeah. I don't know how old are you?
I'm 29.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I'm 24. I always feel like I'm. Everybody always goes like I'm 21 or 22. So we're yeah. I'm not 29, but we're definitely like the
I feel like I have a young
age,
soul.
I would
have
say.
a young soul.
Yeah, you do. I was gonna say like 25.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's it's crazy seeing people like Lucas. It's like 21 years old and just successful. Yeah. So it's a good thing to be around.
It's cool, man. And we're it's all love. We always I never we always troll back and forth, but it's just all love. It's all love. It's like it's
Stitch
cool.
videos, bash on them. Yeah. We love that. People think it's dude. No, it's all about opinions in the space, and it's how you grow.
Exactly.
You can't learn if you don't argue. If there's no debating, there would be just only. I don't even want to know what the world would be like if people had the same opinions.
Literally what we were talking about earlier. That just everyone's on the same side in the echo chamber, right? Just in a bubble. Like no negative energy here. Just I'm like
no, just learn. It's like you have a problem with my crypto. Who cares?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
I can go. There's a million out there.
It's just like the maxis, you know what I mean? And and I love a wide range of cryptos, and that's just the beauty of the space that we're in. But yeah, I appreciate you for coming on.
Thanks, man.
I'll see you guys in the next video. Make sure you guys follow him on everything. I'll link everything in the description. See you guys in the next video. All right, podcast episode, whatever. Peace.
Peace, man.